Alrighty, I think we are good. Hey everyone, this is Nia Shanks from Lift Like a Girl, and today I am super excited to have one of my best friends ever, and she's just crazy, intelligent, and passionate. And I know you know who she is, and if you don't, shame on you, and shame on me for not making sure you know who she is. My good friend, Mrs. Marianne Kane. Woo!
Hi. It's so
Thanks for
strange
being
to be
with us,
introduced
Marianne.
as Mrs.
What's that?
It's so strange to be introduced as Mrs.
I would, Mrs. Doctor. I
Yeah.
completely blew the introduction. So,
That's cool. It's just I haven't heard. I'm not used to hear myself as a married person. It's like so different.
yeah,
But
Mrs. Marianne Kane Fass just got married recently. So, yeah, that's the first time I've said Mrs. Marianne.
I
So,
know.
Doctor.
Um,
Anyway.
well, hello, and thank you for having me. It's nice to. It's always nice to chat to you about this, about anything really, but the topics especially.
For sure.
And
So, we're going to kick this off. I wanted to first talk to you. We actually were talking about this kind of last week, and how you said that, it's important for people to know how to balance and blend kind of training for aesthetic purposes, wanting to look better, lose fat, whatever the goal is, but also, kind of something more positive, something more motivating on the lines of if it's just being stronger or, being healthy, or even kind of like you said in your situation, being pain-free since you've been battling SI pain and all that. So can you kind of just share your thoughts on that, or what you've done that's worked for you, or perhaps how you've helped other people?
yeah, I think that one of the greatest sort of mind shifts that I made was just to be an advocate for the most important goal. So always reminding myself which is more important. And actually, it was something that my husband, Jonathan, said to me was, if you could be pain-free, if in a year's time you could be pain-free, or whether you could be stronger or whatever it is, and maybe you had to compromise something along the way, short term, would you do it? So for me, if I wanted to be pain-free or coping better with the pain during training, and I happened to lose strength, or I maybe gained some body fat along the way, would that really matter long term? And I think we always think very short term, like we always want things to kind of happen now, and they never do, no matter what the goal, even if it is an aesthetic goal. And quite often those aesthetic goals are really, well, I was actually thinking about this myself. This is a tangent, but I like, what are my standards? What, like, for myself, I must think that we're always our own worst critics when it comes to aesthetic goals anyway. And so if I could even lower my standard a little bit for myself, because I'm never that critical of anybody else, it's only
Mm-hmm.
myself. So is that an ego thing? I don't know, that I must have to be perfect in order to accept myself. But what if I just accept myself as a little less than perfect and admit that I'm just not perfect? That those things are much easier to say, okay, I actually do like this, I am happy with that as things stand, and then you're in a much better position to move forward and sort of address other goals like health and like, things that are long term. I mean, aesthetics will always, well, it depends on if you're having a healthy outlook at every moment in time, you can accept good things as they come, and you can accept things that maybe fade over time, but you're always looking at the best of what you've got. And for me, like, pain is a big limiting factor in life, and so for me that's most important. And it was always most important, but I allowed other goals like to come in and kind of dilute that down. So like, I let other people's, almost like what other people maybe thought of me, stop me from pursuing that goal more seriously. So I run a fitness blog. I've defined myself as a fitness professional. I fall into the trap of mindset thinking that I have to look a certain way in order to be taken seriously as a fitness professional. And if I lose strength and I lose physique because I'm pursuing ultimately moving, not necessarily training, but moving without pain, then I'm on a completely different, I have to stop defining myself by what I think other people expect of me. So that's another huge thing to sort of say to somebody. Well, I used this example before. I had a client, and her goal was to start a family, but years of training and maybe extreme dieting, things like that, had affected her ability to to have a regular cycle and things like that, and stress as well. So she wanted to change things, and she wanted that to be her number one goal. And her and I would have talked back and forward.
You broke up for a second.
Oh, like, I thought a kitten had come out of it.
All right, you're back now. You're back.
So how far did you get to? Did you hear about the client?
Yeah, then it kind of froze.
Okay, so I don't know which bit it cut out on, but she had a goal switch from aesthetics being least important now, not necessarily least important, but her ultimate goal was to have a family. So health was her most important goal. And we would have talked about the comments that people would make about the change in your physique. Oh, you're looking this way, and you turn it against yourself. You would almost think, oh my goodness. And then the longing for the aesthetic goal would come back, and you'd be like, oh, I should be training the way I always did, and I always did this, and I loved it. And, it would start taking over. But then you had to think long term, well, if I continue this way, I won't be pain free, or I won't be able to start a family, or I'll run myself into the ground, whatever it is. I guess you have to balance it up that way. You have to talk to yourself and say, well, what's more important? I think that's kind of... I do a lot of talking to myself. I don't necessarily listen to myself, but I do talk to myself a lot about these types of things, because it is about priority.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we've had this chat a bunch of times, and like I said, it is kind of a battle with our own egos. And I used to be addicted to just lifting as heavy as possible. Deadlifting. I just loved just like throw more weight on that bar. And then I told you about how bad my back pain was. I couldn't walk my dog without hurting, and
yeah,
I finally came to the realization that, like you said, it's kind of a I can either keep doing that because I want to, because my ego says, hey, if I'm going to deadlift, it needs to be a lot of weight, and then I can eventually just hurt myself, or I can prioritize my goals, which ultimately for me became, I said I started getting this back pain. I think I was only 25 or 26, and I finally came to the realization I can either like screw up my back and at 20 something, or finally get smart, because like you said, we wouldn't let clients do these things. And I was like, I've got to be smart. If I was looking at somebody else in this situation, I'd say, hey, you need to change what you're doing. And, and I finally did that. I haven't deadlifted, unfortunately, and I don't know how long, but, I'm like you said, I have different goals now, which is being pain-free, and I'm still able to train in a way that's challenging. It's just with different exercises, and I'm learning to enjoy and appreciate. It may not be as awesome as walking up to a bar load with 300 pounds. I'm like, hurrah, I'm gonna lift it, yes, Now I'm like, hey, heavy rear foot elevated split squats, woo! But I can do it pain free, and like I said, it is kind of always a constant little battle with your ego, but. You just have to shift your perspective and find a way to make it. Is there a trick that you've learned that's been helpful to kind of shift that perspective from thinking this is what I used to do, but this is what I need to do now because it's better for me? Is there something you kind of...
I think I'm learning more about the consequences of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's like unfortunately, I'm one of those people who just does things and then learns the hard way. And so what I'm finding, actually here, because I've moved to Saudi, the gym here in the compound isn't like the gym I used to go to or the way I used to do things. So I would have gone into like a university gym and be extremely competitive because there was other people there who were really, really strong and really good. Whereas here, it's like a normal gym. People are just coming in, doing their cardio, their machines and things that I used to look down on, actually. If I'm like, I've basically become less of a snob about exercises and realizing that there's value in the things that they're doing, they're enjoying it, and it's terrible, but we've all been there where we're like, we think what we're doing is more superior, and I've regressed I've had to say, like, wise up, Marianne, because look at you now, you're doing leg extensions and minimalist stuff, but the important thing is that the pain is not getting worse because of the things that I'm doing. Half of it is the stress I put myself under to be able to do the things that I've always done. And I think I suppose the technique is planning ahead, telling yourself ahead of time. You're going to go in and do what feels good, and you know that these things are better than what you had been doing, and you might be able to get back to doing those things at one point. And if I end up in the cross trainer for half an hour, I end up in the cross trainer for half an hour, and at least I can come out of there and say, I did train today and I didn't have pain. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then it helps to have somebody there to make me accountable for the things I'm doing. So Jonathan is there telling me, not to be doing the things I've always done. So he's there training too, and I know he's watching me. So if I went and started doing double kettlebell swings and crazy stuff again, or deadlifts, then not that I could do a deadlift, but if I was, then he would keep me right. So no more silliness from me. I can't just put on a camera and show off.
I can't help but recall as you were talking, I remember that one time you came and you stayed with me, and we went to the local gym and trained, and we were doing weighted dips, and I went first, and
oh yeah,
it was like 25 pounds or something. I think I got 8 or 9 reps. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll do those. You get up there, and I'm watching. And dude, I remember you had to get 1 more rep than me. You did. I think you got 8, and you made damn sure you got 9. And after you got done, I commented. I said, you had to do one better than me, didn't you? You had to do better than I did. You admitted it was like that competitive nature, and I've got it too. I thought that was so badass. So I was like, she's going to grunt this out until she gets 1 more rep than me. Oh, that was awesome, though.
I had to be sure that at least in one exercise I did better than you, because in everything else you were like wiping the floor with me.
Oh, I don't know. That's not
so
true.
Funny.
No, that is not true.
Sure,
but I thought that was awesome. I was like, she's going to make sure. I was waiting. I was like, she's going to do 1 more. And that was awesome. All right, so we'll shift gears for a second, and I wanted to ask you one more thing. Kind of what in your experience are you seeing that trainees make, if say they're wanting to basically just lose weight, look better, or whatever, the most common goal anybody has, building a better body or whatever. What would you say are kind of some of the most common mistakes that you see, and perhaps what would you suggest they do to avoid those mistakes?
Well, I've actually thought about a couple of things, because I was actually last night I was thinking about this myself, of what I've done, and it's almost like you get caught up in like a bit of a cycle of so you really, really want to lose weight, and so you set about learning about how to lose weight, and you read blogs, you find out information, you watch YouTube videos on exercises and what's the best this and what's the best that, and you spend so much time researching it and being addicted to how you're going to do it that you don't actually do it for very long. Like, you'll try this, but then you're reading about something else, and it's like you're like all over the place, so you're not consistent in anything, and you're almost getting stuck in a cycle of wanting to be this way but not yet on a path to doing it. So you'll skip from fitness blog to fitness blog, and you're always reading the same thing. You know it, and you're always reading it, so it's like just telling you what you already know, and instead of just doing it. I have that problem too. I had that problem for years. I wasted just reading about it and not actually doing it. So stepping out and just do something, anything at all, then it'll get you started. Then it's about, then it can be about changing too much at once. I don't know if you probably know this, was either you'll change your exercise habits. But then most people go about cutting their calories, they'll go to extreme exercises, they'll do everything, and they'll change their whole life, and then that's not sustainable for a long period of time. And then you don't know what worked, because you're like, maybe you can get results, but you'll not know which thing is actually helping you, and it ends up just being too much to carry. So I mentioned cutting calories as well. So a lot of women have trouble when it comes to, I guess, understanding the calorie deficit, going to go to extreme deficit rather than just cutting a little bit at a time. And then they'll go in conjunction with that, they'll like have a huge surge in what they're doing, so they'll have way too much activity, and then their results will happen quickly at the start, but then really just plateau for ages. And so that's another thing. It's like extreme. I think that it's very easy to sort of focus on the mistakes that people make, but I guess it's easy to say moderation on these things, but like, I guess it's like you go to, I can understand where this sort of confusion comes from, because that's generally what you're told, and you just kind of think, well, if I do this more, if I do more of this, I should get faster results. But when do you ever see anybody being told that moderate, actually, you don't need to cut calories that much, and you don't need to increase your activity that much to start seeing some sort of changes happening? And then it's what type of activity you do, what you like. And I guess another one I've come across quite recently is not being honest with yourself about your eating habits. And because there's, I don't know if you've seen it being shared or anything on Facebook, there's a program on TV in the UK, and it's called Secret Eaters. And it's crazy, like, what people don't realize they're eating. When, like, so if you ask a client to say, like, what have you eaten over the past 3 days, and they're trying to recall, these recall type diaries aren't very accurate, because the amount of things we eat we don't realize that we're doing. There was people who were eating like something, half of their calories were coming from unknown, or they didn't remember, or they weren't recording it, or something, just like making your dinner and snacking on the like things that you're making, slices of cheese or something, whenever you're preparing food, can, you know, top up crazy amount of calories. And it's about being honest with yourself there. And I guess the solution for that is often to make a plan ahead of what you're going to do, rather than recalling back and then going regretting, oh, I ate too much that day. I don't think that's a good cycle to get into. And I think last but not least is almost like giving up too soon on a plan, not giving it enough time to work. So whenever people hire me to be their coach, I say a minimum of 3 months to give us a chance to work, because you'll have people buying just one block of program, and it's like 4 weeks. It's never going to show you anything about this type of training or this type of advice that I'd love you to commit to. If you commit to it, I'll commit to you, and then we work together to get you on track to a point where you can work by yourself. But I don't know if I think that's quite a few things that will probably ring a few bells with people, and those are things that I did. And I don't know if there's any, like, there's good solutions to, I suppose, focusing on just getting active, maybe finding a trainer or a class, and not going overboard, assuming that everything is like, if you're doing nothing right now, then adding 1 or 2 things in a week will make a big difference, and then just like increasing your overall activity throughout the week, not necessarily high intensity exercise, but just walking more, and just this things that you're kind of told, go up the stairs and stuff like that, all adds up to, was it, how many steps are you supposed to get per day?
Oh shoot, don't ask me that, I don't know.
But if you're getting more general activity and you're not sitting for long periods of time, I think that's kind of a good thing.
Well, I mean, you've pretty much said it. It kind of comes down to the problem most people have. It's not that they don't know what to do. Most people, they know what to do. Like I said, they know they need to do something. It's just the fact that they maybe don't do it because, as you were saying earlier, they're kind of constantly searching for perhaps something better, like the best thing to do, to where it's that paralysis by analysis situation. So it sounds like it's really about, you know what to do, use some common sense, do something, and like you said, don't do everything all at once, because that's not going to be sustainable. And if you start, like you said, if you start doing 60 minutes of exercise, if you go from doing nothing to 60 minutes of exercise every day, you're going to burn out really quick, and then there's nothing else, you can't really progress to anything.
Yeah.
And as you said, give yourself a good 12 weeks, because I do the same thing with consultations. I tell people, just like you do, you got to commit to 3 months, because that's a realistic period of time to develop some new habits and to actually see results. I mean, the only way you're going to see results in 4 weeks is if you do a crazy crash diet or something.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's a good chunk of time to commit to actually see something and to learn new things. I think it's great.
Yeah. It is a hard thing though to get actually onto something and stay on it because I'm trying to think of what actually got me. It was just being told, because when at the time they thought that my back and all was it would fuse if I didn't do anything. I didn't want my back to fuse, so I was like, okay, I'll go and do some exercise, and that got me started. But then I went off in the other direction. Then I did far too much, thinking that more was better. But then it took me a couple of years and realized that I hadn't really changed in how I looked. I was like, maybe something's missing. So.
Well, I think that is fantastic. Before I close this off, is there anything else you want to say?
Well, other than the fact that I just reopened my website and come and visit myomai.tv. It's also myomai.tv.com, but it's new branded .tv because it's nicer and it sounds better. So so you can now sign up for my email subscription there, which I didn't have for the last 4 years. So I finally started an email list. So if you're interested in additional stuff that I talk about, whether it's fitness related or just me sharing my life and my journey and stuff, then that's kind of where I'll do that more often. And that's really it. It's just my wee blog, Home Sweet Home.
So that's now myomai.tv.
Yeah. So what is the same as both will get you there. So it's myomai.tv.com, but generally there's not really very many websites called myomai anything, so it comes up in Google. It's kind of handy.
Well, Miss Marianne, thank you for your time, and everyone go check out her website. She has some awesome videos on there, awesome articles, just anything awesome, dadgummit. So get over there, check it out. And Marianne, thank you for your time. You were absolutely wonderful. And not to put you on the spot, but when are you going to come back and see me?
Oh, does this mean I'm invited? I think I never
You're
got
always invited. Are you kidding me?
I have to come back for my wine.
You're always invited. All right, thank you, girl. Everybody go check out Marianne's website.
Thank you.